I speak. I express my truth. I resolve my challenges. I have the right to speak. I communicate with ease. I speak. I express my truth. I resolve my challenges. I have the right to speak. I communicate with ease. I speak. I express my truth. I resolve my challenges. I have the right to speak. I communicate with ease. We are now on Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and Virgo. I speak from the 5th chakra. Mercury affects our mind, our ability to communicate, our intellect, our reason, our language, and our intelligence. Mercury also affects technological devices, technological communication. Mercury is known as the messenger of God. In our day-to-day, Mercury affects how we communicate with each other, with ourselves. You ever look at yourself in the mirror and say something negative or think something negative? Then you're probably experiencing Mercury in its dark space. When Mercury is dark, we see ourselves out of our light. We become indecisive. We're critical on ourselves. We're filled with nervousness and anxiety. This will make us sarcastic. Physically, we will look at ourselves as if we're not up to par, is the best way I can put it. However, beautiful Mercury, our messenger of God, when positive, allows us to represent our best intellectual selves. No matter what it is that you find that you're intelligent in, it can be something as simple as knowing the differences in the details of colors. Mercury allows you to express that in such a beautiful way that it becomes like poetry. That's the role of Mercury in every zodiac sign. The ability to help us communicate that which we're passionate about. Our self-expression in our 5th chakra. The ability to know and understand who we are and how to communicate that to the world outside of our own mind, because Mercury does control the mind or rule over the mind. Mercury, when in its, I don't want to say adolescent, but it's similar to that. When Mercury is in its fun adolescent personality, makes us curious. We become curious bees, and we might find ourselves going into new passions, new hobbies. That's Mercury. And no matter how new that hobby or passion is, Mercury helps us to adapt and learn very quickly and allows us to express what we've learned to the outside world. Now, Mercury is a fast-moving planet. When Mercury comes and leaves your sign, it's something of magic, because you'll get this inspiration, boom, and you'll work on it like crazy, and then it's gone. And that project will probably sit there for a while until Mercury makes its way back into your sign. And then you're like, oh yeah, I was working on that. Why did I stop working on that? Now you know. It was Mercury that quickly moved into your sign, inspired you, and then quickly went into the next sign to inspire the next person. It's nothing to get hard on yourself about or feel angry about. It's just an understanding that Mercury moves fast. Mercury is like the Aries of the planets. It's here and then it's gone. When it comes to technology, Mercury affects our emails, our text messages, our telephone, our social media, YouTube. Everyone, I've been watching YouTube for some time now, and everyone's been complaining how YouTube is acting up, and it could simply be Mercury acting up and affecting our technological world. Mercury is the planet of communication. So when Mercury's not filling up to par, everything regarding communication, verbal, non-verbal, it all goes out of whack. In our signs, depending on which sign that you are, if you're Virgo or Gemini, you know how Mercury affects you. When Mercury is positive, you're decisive, your communication is clear, it's in its truth. However, once Mercury goes out of whack, you become overtly talkative. You overexpress yourself. Might fall into some gossip, some lies. Truth might become your worst enemy when Mercury is in its dark space, or retro, as we call it. Personal experiences with Mercury ruled individuals would be, for me, it's I've seen the dark side of Mercury, where if someone who's naturally ruled by Mercury is expressing something to you and they're in the dark side of Mercury, you can decipher where they're telling you the blatant truth and where they're adding or taking away from the truth. Mercury causes individuals to become excited when they're not telling the truth, in other words. And I don't know if it's because I'm a Taurus. We're natural lie detectors when it comes to this, but I've seen personal people that I know, Geminis and Virgos, when they're not telling you the truth, well, with Virgo they become excited, and that's when you know, okay, you know, like this story might have some false information to it. However, the Gemini becomes egotistical, sarcastic, domineering. So if you have a Virgo or a Gemini, or if your Mercury is in Virgo or Gemini and you find yourself expressing yourself like this when you're in the dark spaces of Mercury, go into your throat chakra. Your throat chakra is connected to your sacral chakra. So when your sacral chakra is out of whack, your throat chakra is affected. So when your creativity is in balance, your ability to express yourself will be in balance. Signs that your Mercury is in balance is tightness of the throat. Like if you're talking and you get dry mouth, or your throat tightens up, or you find yourself clearing your throat like continuously, the first thing to do would be to stop whatever you're talking about, go within yourself and figure out, what am I trying to express here? Because if you're communicating, there's two things. If you're communicating on a personal level with a significant other, a close friend, a neighbor, something intimate, and your throat is tightening, it's something that you're saying that is not going well with what you're feeling. Like your body is sending you signals, stop, stop, stop. But you keep talking, and then you're continuously clearing your throat or swallowing saliva to loosen your throat muscles. At that point, you stop talking and you go within yourself, and you will know either what it is that you're talking about should not be spoken about, or There's either information that you're adding or taking away from the subject matter that should not be that should be discussed or should not be discussed. Now, there is the second side of that, which is, like, for example, a lot of us are afraid of public speaking. Now, public speaking is something that puts fear in a lot of people, including myself. So when we go to speak, it doesn't matter if you've practiced the speech, you have it memorized, you've done it in the mirror, you've done it in front of friends and family, you know the information. Once you get on that podium, boom, your throat tightens up. That's where that mantra comes in, where you say to yourself, I speak. I have the right to speak. I communicate with ease. You calm that energy down, because that energy, public speaking that is, that energy, that nervous energy is coming from the sacral chakra and is causing you to express the negative side of Mercury, which is the indecisive, nervousness, anxiety energies. So once you calm that down and tell yourself, I have the right to be here and to speak, I'm speaking in my truth, you will notice that everything becomes back to normal and you're expressing yourself the way that you originally planned on expressing yourself. Mercury is a very interesting ruler because we talk so much throughout the day that we never take the time out to decipher what we really want to say. What is that message we really want to get across versus just words coming out of our mouths? Because you find the extroverts versus introverts in Mercury. Extroverts, they're talkative. They just talk. Where introverts in Mercury, they're more internal. They're processing information more. And you'll find that when an introvert speaks up, the room listens, because they've taken that time out to process their Mercury energy and they know what they want to say and how they want to say it, versus an extrovert that's just expressing that Mercurian energy just out, just blah 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 blah. I believe that's all I have for Mercury. Just as you're going throughout your day, focus on your throat. Focus on the muscles of your neck, your tongue, your mouth, your teeth. All of that goes into the throat chakra. Your ears. A lot of people don't put the ears in place with communication, but that whole system goes together with your mind, so that as you're communicating, regardless if you're going through your dark or your light side of your sign in Mercury, you can communicate clearly and with your truth. Whenever you feel nervous or anxious while communicating, trust me, that is your body telling you whatever you're about to say, don't say it. And a lot of times we nudge Mercury to the side, like, be quiet, I know what I'm about to say. And we end up saying something that either hurts us or hurts someone else. So keep those things in mind when you're communicating, when you're doing your meditations, when you're sending out those text messages and those emails. Keep all of that in mind, because a lot of the times we do miscommunicate just based on our own selves, because Mercury is that messenger. Mercury does nudge you and say, hey, don't do that, you don't want to do that, you don't want to do this. But we're just like so headstrong, and we're like, no, I'm going to communicate exactly the way I want to, and we end up hurting ourselves in the end. So review your zodiac sign and apply this information. When we go through the birth chart, you'll be able to better understand, regardless if your Mercury is in Scorpio or Aries or Taurus or Cancer, those are still communication places. For example, I'll just simply break it down shortly. A Mercury in Scorpio means you communicate. When you're in your positive zone, you communicate with sensuality and passion. But when you're in your negative zone, you might communicate out of jealousy and vindictiveness. That's something to understand, the role Mercury plays in each zodiac sign. We'll go through that when we go through the birth chart. Right now, I just want to lay out each planet's role and how they affect you. Now with Mercury stays in a sign for 3 to 4 weeks depending on the year. So that gives you an idea. Like when someone says Mercury is retrograde in Taurus from this date to that date. Now the retrograde will affect everyone of the zodiac. However, if your Mercury is in Taurus, you will be affected the most. Like you will, oh my God, like just practice silence for that period, because if your Mercury is in Taurus, then you're getting the worst. Your communication will fail. Your emails will not go through. Text messages will be misunderstood. Everything will just go into pure chaos. So you have to really understand how the messenger of God works and slowly integrate that process into your communication if you've been having issues with communicating with individuals, because it's important. It's very important. And you'll see, like, communication is so important in relationships, regardless if they're intimate relationships or platonic or family or friendships. The more you integrate I cannot say that Mercurian energy into your daily life, because Mercury does influence our day-to-day communication, the more you'll see that the pridefulness of your sun sign gets settled. It settles, and you will be allowed to express your Mercury energy in a more subtle, honest, truthful manner. So I really hope that helped. I really hope I didn't rant. I was trying to get everything that I could in within a short period of time. We will be going into Mercury in more detail when we go through the 7 chakras. So next we are going into the loving world of Venus.